City Council meeting to order. This is in fact the last formal City Council meeting we have before the election. And so I have a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Doherty, Councillor Smith, all those in favor. In the minutes of October the 20th, a motion to adopt. Councillor Kendall, Councillor Warshagan, all those in favor. And down to verbal reports from council. Could I have a volunteer? Councillor Kinder said he wants to be last.
Okay,
He tears up easily. And
I'll go ahead, Your Worship.
Councillor O'Doherty goes
Your
first.
Worship, I attend the bonfire for the Rosary Club Friday night.
Yeah.
And I volunteered there and was very good attending. And in the last 2 weeks, I've been working with the Royal Canadian Legion, getting ready for the 11th of November. And the hockey, we started to do good on the weekend, but it wasn't that great the week before, so we're getting back on our feet there with 3 wins.
Yes, we're rooting for you.
And that's all I got for now, Your Worship.
All right,
Thank you.
moving around. Councillor Wires.
Thank you, Your Worship. On October 22nd, I attended the All Candidates Forum at the high school. And so we saw 16 candidates that are running for City Council. Some are in our galley this evening. And of course, the school trustees as well. So good luck to all of the candidates on November the 15th. On October 25th, I attended the Boundary Historical Society's AGM at the Boundary Museum and Interpretive Center. And I'm pleased to report that the society filled the executive positions for the coming year. So our historical society is well off and running. And you should see some new opportunities there for some presentations in digital format. October 30th, I attended the Urban Development Institute in Kelowna. It was the monthly luncheon, along with Councillors Kendall, Councillor Smith, His Worship, Mayor Taylor, and our CAO, Doug Allen, and our Assistant Corporate Officer, Sarah, who organized the table that we had set up. So all eyes were on Grand Forks at the UDI because we sponsored the luncheon. And I believe there was between 80 and 100 people in attendance.
160.
160?
Yeah.
160. Well, it was a big room. So all eyes were focused on Grand Forks as our CAO and Mayor Taylor made a very professional and well-formatted presentation before the luncheon. And we had the opportunity to meet with people at the beginning and to speak with them after the session, after the luncheon. So it's part of our economic development profile and our showcase that we have developed here in the recent year as a conclusion to this council work that I commend all of you for participating, and to all of our staff, the professional staff that we have. Without their input and everyone's input around the table, the development of those beautiful brochures in 2 languages, I might add. We had one in Cantonese as well. And so we're well ready to welcome the rest of the world to Grand Forks for economic development opportunities and land development. On October 31st, Citizens on Patrol provided security assistance to the local Rotary bonfire. And just to note, the volunteers that evening, there were 4 patrols out throughout the evening in a 7-hour period, and they logged 17.5 volunteer hours during that time. And finally, my respect and admiration to 2 of our local veterans who stood at our cenotaph here in Grand Forks, Mr. Bud Alcock and Mr. Dave Bashmeyer, during a very disturbing time in the history of Canada. And I hope we never see anything like that again. And we have to recognize, that these things do happen, and we should all be diligent in keeping our eyes and ears open throughout our communities for anything that might be unsettling. Finally, for community announcement, I just direct you to check with the Grand Forks and District Public Library Their monthly meeting would normally be scheduled for Wednesday, November the 19th, but there is an indication that it may be moved to the second week in December. So I just ask you to check if you're a follower of the Grand Forks and District Public Library regular monthly meetings, just to check with the staff at the library or check on the website. And that's my report for this evening, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councilor Shagan. Gary's chomping at the bit.
No,
Would you rather go
not
first?
anymore.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Well,
Mayor.
when you're hot, Gary. You want to go first?
No, it's okay. I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, being that it is our last meeting, say what a pleasure it's been to work with all of you for the last 3 years here. I realize there will be turnover regardless, knowing that 2 of you won't be here, even if the rest of us remain. There will be a turnover. 2 of you at least. There's been 6 years of history here, and I just want to say that it's been a pleasure. If I'm not sitting here come December, then at least I hope you guys know that. I'd also like to say that before I tear up, just to get out and vote, I guess essentially is what I want to say. November 5th and November 12th are the advanced polls of the RDKB office, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the general election is November 15th. And just go out and vote for whoever you think is best. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Smith.
Just reiterating Councilor Wershagen's thoughts there. It's been a pleasure. It's been a unique experience. I've enjoyed most of it. Suffered through some of it, but in the end, it's been a very engaging and enlightening experience. And there's nothing in my life that I could possibly think that would duplicate it. So thank you all for sharing that experience with me. Appreciate it.
Councilor Crog.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I can add to what's already been said. And the only note I really have is I'm not sure if Councilor Wires explained what the UDI was, Urban Development Institute. So it was 160 developers.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentioned that we had ours translated into Cantonese, and I think we were the only ones that had
Well,
ours.
we were the only ones there.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
sponsored.
And that's basically.
Don't you want to say goodbye or anything?
No, I hate goodbyes. We'll hug it out later.
Councilor Campbell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, since this is my final council meeting, I take a little indulgence. I'm just going to reflect on the last 3 years.
Okay, then.
3 years ago at the All Candidates Forum, and I watched the tape. I said that we needed to have a vision to show leadership, exploit our position on Highway 3, and show cooperation and willingness to work with business and industry to see Grand Forks as an opportunity. So how did we do? Well, we have, with community engagement, created and promoted a new and exciting city brand. We have new welcome signs at our borders. We have the Heritage Welcome Center on Highway 3. We have an updated and extremely busy campground. Residential and commercial real estate sales are up. Building permits are at an all-time high, and our industries are booming. Pretty positive things in the last 3 years. Staying on here. And this is just the beginning. We have a choice. We can concentrate on the negatives or we can embrace the positives. People from all over Canada see Grand Forks as a gem, an affordable, vibrant community with a promise of a great way of life. Yes, even if you have a water meter in your house. We are moving in an exciting direction, progressive and welcoming. We are being noticed by the outside world, by developers and business owners. Our efforts are being recognized by our peers as a positive example to other communities. I believe that the initiatives taken on by this council and staff will be a lasting legacy for this community. I'd like to address an issue that's been brought forward in the past two candidate forums. The theory that where you live has an effect on your ability to govern fairly or impartially. I like to pose an alternative theory that commitment and character have much more impact on the ability to make sound decisions in this chamber than what your address is. I'd like to thank the citizens of Grand Forks for electing me, council for setting an example for meaningful change, and finally to the management and staff for an exceptional job of making our vision a reality. I'm proud to have been part of this change, and I can only hope that the incoming council will see fit to continue down this path. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a drummer in our band.
Thanks.
So, boy, I had some business stuff here to deal with, but let me start with congratulating council on a good 3 years, and some of us a good 6 years. I mean, we've accomplished a lot. You've been really effective as a group, and I think, although I'm not an expert on, we've had a good marriage. We've had problems. We've had things we've had to work out. But the bottom line is, council has solved the problems and removed the roadblocks. So operate on the basis that the next group will be the same and be effective. I think we've got great things to do in the community. I think that this council has set the bar relatively high, not as high as it can go, but it's up there. So let's keep up the pressure in terms of functioning well and being a healthy group. I like where we're going. The city staff are proud of their work. We've got a really functioning community. It's easy for me to get up in front of people now and say, we're running a good business. So, let's look at the other qualities of life that we not neglect, our social responsibilities and other things, because we certainly are at this point in time doing really well in terms of running a business. So thank you all very much for your terms. And those that aren't here, you'll be fondly remembered, as will I if I'm not. Okay, a couple of things to cover. The economic development decisions of work the Ministry of Transport brought to the table today has an emphasis on local airports. I think there's a real opportunity there to focus some of this Ministry of Transport attention on that. They've got a new deer sign coming out, an active deer sign that actually goes off, and it's used on perimeter fencing, so it will activate if deer come close to it and slow traffic down, or at least warn them with an orange light flashing that there's deer on the perimeter. Doesn't sound like it's more than a prototype right now, but it looks like, because we're such a high impact area, that we'll get a shot at that in the next little while. A lot of attention to bike travel, and we can get a lot from this in terms of their support for our alternate transportation system by footpath and by bicycle. And finally, the Legion Poppy Day kicked off with our usual signage of Legion poppies, and I just encourage people showing their strength by coming out for November 11th. Thank you all. That's my report. Motion to accept council reports. Councilor Doherty, Councilor Smith, all those in favor. And on a regional level, green bins are out. Yeah, the new service has started out there in the regional area. We actually, both Councilor Wires and myself, missed the last meeting, so I won't try to update you on things that are going on, but there's nothing outstanding at this point that we missed. But we were both at the UDI, which was extremely useful and a good place to be. Pushing our city was with a room full of developers that are looking for a place that's getting too expensive, the Okanagan, and looking at where they can go with their business, where they can get more for their value in terms of land and a welcoming community. So that was worthwhile. And thank you very much to our staff for organizing it. That's my regional district report. Any questions on the RD before we move on?
Move to accept.
Move to accept, seconder Councillor Krog. All those in favor? Next item of business is a status report on the economic status of our community by the Manager of Development and Engineering Services. You got the floor.
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. Earlier this summer, we went out and we conducted some interviews with various businesses, the Visitor Information Center, the Chamber of Commerce, just to see kind of where, whether they had more visitors this year, if there were more inquiries, if numbers were up in restaurants, and things like that. So we just prepared a report to say that this is what people had to say. A lot of people were very happy with all the amenities that we have here, the hiking trails and the biking trails and the tubing park that we just put in and the trail up at Observation Mountain. They were very impressed with that. There seemed to be more travelers stopping by than in 2013. There was an increase at the campground this year compared to last year. The Johnny's Motel was rated the #1 stop over amongst 15 other motels and hotels in Grand Forks. A lot of the people were very happy to see the deer running around, sorry to say. Everybody had to take a picture. The farmers market was very common with a lot of people. They really enjoyed stopping by and seeing that. This year, or in 2013, we had 38 new business licenses. And in 2014, up to the end of September, we had 31. So the business licenses were slightly down, but that's only to the end of September. In 2013, the building department issued 3 new single family dwelling permits. Total of the construction value was $334,800. And the total building permit fees collected was $954.50. To the end of September of 2014, we issued 5 new single family dwelling building permits. Total construction value was $1.44 million, and the total building permit fees collected was $9,724.90. We also had some discussions with the Christina Lake Golf Course. In 2013, they saw 31,249 users, whereas in 2014, there was about a 2.1% increase from that number. And so far to the end of December, we received 20 development inquiries. We also spoke with the major industries to find out what kind of monies they've invested in their businesses in Grand Forks over the last few years. Interfor, over the last 10 years, has invested $30 million, and they employ 140 people.
That's over 3 years, your report says.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, yeah, they transformed their platform now for the last 10 years, so.
That's related to the noise control that a lot of the big investments were.
Roxol also invested several $1 million. Their company employs 200 people. And of course, with the upcoming Marksman Industries at the airport, they'll probably employ up to 20 people once they're fully operational. So then we just attached a list of identified tourist attractions for the boundary area, and that's just for information.
So how does Johnny's Motel pull this off all the time? And they are very popular. Is it simply clean and relatively well priced?
Actually, they are very well priced, and it just seems like, I think just the accommodations that they provide, like, because they have little kitchenette units, and it's just accommodating for people
It's
to
right
stay
on the
there.
river.
They're also pet friendly,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
it's huge.
And parking.
I know, they're a shining example of entrepreneurs locally doing well with the business in a very competitive town for motel hotel in the off season. Okay, any further questions, council? Thank you very much for that work, Sasha, and it's good to have some comparisons from year to year. It looks like we certainly are beginning to see some activity here in some critical areas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to receive the report.
Yes, so Councillor Doherty, Councillor Crog, this is to receive, all those in favor? And the next report is the snow removal, and very timely for us to review what the priorities are and how this whole system works before the first snow. Mr. Allen, are you taking us through this?
I think Mr. Houston is.
I'll start it off.
Yeah. Good evening, Ron.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but snow is coming.
No.
I know, I hate to say it. So I'm just gonna walk you through a little bit of a PowerPoint, bring you up to date on some of the issues I saw. This is my first full year of going through the full winter, so this is kind of exciting. This is the kind of stuff I like, so this is exciting for me to go through this. I don't know if I got this working or not.
Got the,
Things on here.
I don't have any snow trucks in London really, so this is the first time it was organized. So snow removal.
there you go, cooking now.
Thanks. So are we ready down there? As you can see on the left, there's our snow shed. That has about 350 cubic meters of sand, salt already mixed in it. Last year we went through that and a little bit more on it. So the word I hear, it was a relatively easy winter last year. I don't know if we felt that here, but and they've said they've gone through 2 or 3 of these snow sheds in a year. But yeah, we're ready. The sanders on the side there just take half an hour and they're back there on the trucks and we're ready to go. So as we know, as our policy, priority 1, roads to snow clearing, we have priority 1s, 2s, and 3s identified on maps. The guys know these off by heart. Their procedures are pretty well imprinted in them, but this is the kind of stuff I'm going to be going through this year in witnessing this snow removal, just to familiarize myself, see if this is right. I'd like to put a little more teeth into this policy regarding timelines and when we go out there, how many inches. So it's going to be a good learning experience for me this year. Some of the pictures from last year, you know, we can see we got some pretty tight residential streets out there when the windrows come from the sidewalks and from the road and from driveways. So, you know, you want to try and get 2 lanes at all times going through residential streets. Those are just terrible pictures, aren't they? I can't believe it's snowing. Laneways, just another example of alley clearing we do, pretty tight loaders going down these laneways. Constantly on them, making sure fences are still intact by the time they go through there. And then again, we get into the sidewalks, another priority that's ingrained in everybody's mind for the operators. Again, priorities with each sidewalk. You know, a lot of this is we appreciate feedback from the residents. That's what makes us better, and we appreciate that. So we want to hear that. Airport, big priority for us. Medevac's a huge thing for us to be ready for at all times. So had a look at this, and I don't mind it. It looks pretty good. I don't know if we've had any complaints in the past, but it's another thing that we can keep an eye on. Some pictures of out there. So what happens when we start calling the crew out? So anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, you have 2 to 3 employees, they go out and shovel city owned buildings and they snow blow the bridge decks. So there's some manual work right there. But the Kubota goes out on the Trans-Canada Trail and the other trail in town. The holder is doing the sidewalks. And we deploy 2 plow trucks, sand trucks. And the loader gets onto the parking lots and alleyways. And of course, if needed be, the airport demands out there right away. A nice thing we did last year is we created a casual pool for downtown snow removal. So we have a night shift snow removal casual pool, which comes in very handy for the downtown businesses. What their jobs are plowing, piling, and removal of snow. There is some improvements that we want to do there, so we'll keep an eye on that. I've heard some good things and some other, not negative things, but better things. For an example, this is like the December night shift from last year. They come out at 9 at -5. They keep track of this every time they come out. Our public works foreman will come out and go over their objective, plow the downtown into piles before they freeze into cold. Last year they were piling them, and then the next night they'd be removing the piles. So we might try and improve that a little bit and make it a little bit quicker.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, one thing that we want to communicate back to the business community is if we come in with our full-time staff, it's double time or time and a half. If we're bringing our casual staff in at night, they're working at regular time, we're creating more employment. So if we have to leave a pile there for the evening for one day, we'll be out there that next night to remove it. We're going to try to strategically place these piles so they're not going to interfere with any particular business or sightline, but it's providing a better service to the community so we're not disrupting the businesses trying to remove the snow in the morning. I think the manager of operations has done a great job of allowing it for a further expansion. You can see that it's very widely cleared. It's cleared right up to the sidewalks, and it provide a greater level of service to our community.
Yeah, that was some of our concern, was where the piles were with sight lines. So exactly, we can come up with a better plan on doing that. Just some common requests that's always tried to be ingrained into the residentials is make sure you remove your uninsured vehicles or boats from the streets or alleyways or boulevards. If possible, park your vehicle off the street when a snowplow is in progress. And try not to bring the snow out onto the road when you're doing your driveway and leaving a big lump in the middle of the road. Sometimes it doesn't get to right away and it freezes and it creates some havoc after that. We do not clear windrows. It's just, I don't want to say physically impossible, but it's a chore if you had to lift your blade up or clean out every windrow at a driveway, right? And again, the children not to play on the snow piles when we're removing snow. We have an excellent communication department. Keep the website going with the frequently asked questions. So anything that we hear, we'll be putting it on our web, try to get some answers for the residents of Grand Forks. So that's always a live, ongoing progress that we're doing. So what do I want to see this year? I want to evaluate the snow removal procedures, have a good look at it, improve that downtown snow removal, assess and recommend the existing policy, and continue to work on the drainage problem areas. As we know, when the snow melts, then we get some really nasty drainage issues happening. So we can, as the year goes along, we've done some aggressive shouldering and swaling this year. So we're trying to knock off the problem areas as we go along here.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions for Mr. Houston?
Move to receive.
Motion to receive, Mr. Vershagen. I just, one comment, I think I've also noticed big improvement in terms of protecting the trees from damage from deer. I think that, that's been a big improvement, some of the techniques that they've used for wrapping and protecting the ground.
Mr. Mayor, one of the other things that when the manager's talking about the policy there, The reason we have to adhere to the policy is if we don't have a policy in place set by council, what happens is our snow removal costs can just escalate out of control. Because what happens is we're dumping material on the road, we're behind that, pushing that material off the road, and we continue perpetuating this situation where there's unlimited costs. We have to have a policy that sets the timeline for when we'll be at critical intersections, when we'll be on kind of the red roads, if the priority roads, when we'll be on the secondary roads. We can't be out there if we can't be out there on every road all the time, because it would simply drive the taxation through the roof, and we can provide that level of service, but then we're gonna have to purchase the equipment, hire the staff, and do those things. So it's an important piece for us to communicate to the public that, you know, we're managing the service delivery based on the levels that we can afford to deliver. If council so chooses to want to raise the taxation rates to facilitate for that, we can always provide a greater level of service. We can put 5 trucks on the road and we can have them out there and we can have the roads clear within a few minutes. But it becomes a piece for us to understand, and council speaks about that. So it's
How much do you want to spend?
how much do we want to spend?
Okay, did we vote on that? No, we didn't. All those in favor?
Mayor Taylor, we have a second.
We did, we had a seconder, Councilor.
Sure.
Okay, and the next item is going through the department managers' reports. Again, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The bylaw officer for the bylaw and building inspection services, the bylaw officer has been out working on continuing on with the removal of the C-cans in the downtown core to be consistent with our zoning bylaw. Preparing for winter snow removal, for communicating with residents about RVs, trailers, and vehicles on the shoulders of the roads. And we're starting to prepare some information for creating of a regulatory sign bylaw for to bring forward to council in the new year. It's going to take quite a bit of process for us to create the bare bones of it, and then prepare it for to present to council for moving on to public input on it. We've talked a little bit about the building permits and several inquiries on new housing starts moving into 2015. Moving on to the Chief Financial Officer's report. Mr. Mayor, we've been working on implementing our asset management software, and we talked about this in the budget process, understanding the impacts to the organization without gathering this information. This is where we start to acquire all the intellectual knowledge of our employees within our organization. But as you can imagine, a 30-year employee, we would invest approximately $2 million into that person over their career here. And we multiply that out by the amount of employees that we have over that career. And then since the beginning of the organization, our organization has invested tens of millions of dollars into their employees. The asset management software will capture that and capture all of that and harness that intellectual knowledge. So that's what council heard in the budget process, and we're just finishing off the implementation of that software so we don't lose that intellectual knowledge as our aging workforce retires. It's an important component for us. We began working on the financial plan, the 5-year plan for 2015. The disaster recovery workshop planning, which is through the Emergency Operations Center. That is in the event of a major disaster in our region. The recovery component for that, for when people are coming forward for assistance from the community, we'll be able to set them up with the province and whatnot, but these will be emergency planning responses. And I can tell you through experience, Mr. Mayor, this is not a pleasurable time to be involved with a catastrophic event in your community when you're dealing with residents that have lost their homes or any other components of that where they're basically all their pieces are gone. So it was a tough course for Roxanne. I know they're probably coming home. She was probably thinking, I don't want to do this anymore because it's not fun. Preparing for the interim audit. We have an auditor. The council's auditor comes in January, does an interim audit, making sure that we're prepared for what they're going to be looking for. What we're doing right now, Mr. Mayor, is we've been working on a new process that we started to look at last winter, was a citizen input on financial planning. And what this is it's called Citizen Budget. And what happens is we go to the community on our website and we ask them what type of money, here's the money that you have, where's the services that you would like to put it in the budget process? Because understanding that you only have a finite amount of money, where would you like to see that money invested? Understanding all the different plans that are there, but it's an important tool that other communities around BC and across Canada are starting to use to garner input from the community for understanding of the financial plan. Reminder letter sent out to current outstanding current taxes because interest starts accruing in January. The financial department again is a very, very busy department dealing with all the different notices that go out for electricity and water and sewer. Corporate services and community services preparing for the election has been the biggest thing. The amount of time consumed dealing with information for candidates and councillors throughout this process, reporting to the province on this is an extenuating and exhausting process. Preparing for our process, meeting with the regional district folks and the school district folks about the election, planning all the different backup plans for the election, for power, for emergency services, in the event that we can continue on with the election during this process, and then finally getting our final reports prepared to issue to the province after we're done. So a lot of work being done by our corporate services department, which is only a compound on top of everything else they've been doing. Working with the law course, deputy corporate officer attended that, the corporate officers conference, dealing with a lot with election, dealing with labor and HR issues, preparations for water metering communications. Mr. Mayor, that has been going really well. Just a quick update on that. We're down to the last, I think we're down to the last 325 meters to be installed. So the community has been very receptive in the project, and it's going extremely well. We're actually ahead of schedule on the installation process. So downtown beautification upgrades for the manager of development engineering. City Hall reconstruction project, where we're really reaching, you're starting to see some of the main components of the project really starting to take shape. We're planning on having the inaugural meeting of council in the upstairs in the council chambers, and then we'll move back into this building when we finish it off, but make sure council is inaugurated into their office. New subdivision servicing bylaw has received the first 3 readings. Sewer regulation bylaw, working on development inquiries that council's hearing about. Completed dike inspections and working on that, the paving project on 68th, and still working on the GIS software because that involves multiple departments, Mr. Mayor. The fire chief, 25 calls, 13 fire and 12 first responder calls for the month of October up to the 22nd. Planning for disaster recovery course. The fire chief attended that course along with our chief financial officer. Fire Prevention Week. Mr. Trainer was here, a 30-year service award that was presented by council. And for those that weren't aware, Silver Kettle had a full residential evacuation drill prepared by the Silver Kettle staff and the fire department, which was a great test. It was very highly successful for our fire department. There's fire chief zone meetings, preparing for the capital and operating budgets. You can see there's been a very busy month for them. And for the manager of operations, you can see that there's been a lot of work going on there with preparing for winter and snow removal, sidewalk repairs, irrigation preparations for the winter blowouts, beacon sites being prepared for the winterization because it's very challenging getting up there. In the winter, water and sewer department working on the sanitary sewer main flushing program, curb stop repairs, and winterizing our pump houses. The electrical department has been, they were assisting the RCMP with the surveillance camera install at the Whispers of Hope. They had to install it up a little higher because their surveillance cameras were stolen. They had for their perimeter security, so it was kind of a, we're working with the staff sergeant on that, so that's going well. The pole maintenance and preparations for installation of the downtown lights. So that's the report from operations.
Motion to receive, Councillor Kendall, Councillor Wires, all those, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. And bringing us down to a letter from Alex Adamanenko.
Mr. Mayor, just after the department reports, I have one more report to offer if I can. Just one more report.
I'm sorry, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So message from QE Local 4728. They've asked me to extend a message to council and the incumbents and the new councillors. This message is from Local 4728, conveying our sincere appreciation to all the work our council has done in the past term. Our local respects the time, energy, and perseverance of all Grand Forks councillors and wishes the incumbents good luck during this election season. As for the councillors leaving the organization, good luck to you in your ventures, and a sincere thank you to you all. Local 4728 looks forward to working closely with the new council and hopes the evolution of our belief that communications is a cornerstone of an efficient working environment and will endeavor to facilitate these open lines of communication in the years to come. Thank you and good luck. Sincerely, QP Local 4728.
All right.
And Mr. Mayor, I have one more message here from the management staff that simply to say thank you, that this is your last scheduled meeting of council for the city of Grand Forks, for the current council. 3 years ago, you were elected to make decisions on behalf of the community, and you have served while making personal sacrifices to work for your community. And we recognize those sacrifices because we're the ones that are asking you to make sacrifices. We're making all of your schedules for you in that respect. It's impossible to measure the amount of sacrifice you have made, and only those that have served in your position and walked a mile in your shoes will fully appreciate that. You spent countless hours at open houses, hours of participation in council meetings, regional meetings on varying topics such as long-term hospital planning, solid waste, budget, and transportation, just to name a few. You participated in meetings at the provincial and federal levels to raise the profile of the city of Grand Forks and provide a voice to the community at all levels of government. Council is a continuing body that does not stop, and you should all be proud of your contribution to the city. On behalf of the management team and the entire organization, we'd like to say thank you for your professionalism and let you know that you've made a difference for your community for today and for tomorrow during your term. So thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Motion to receive. Councillor Kendall, Councillor Wires. All those in favor? Very flattering, thank you. And to the next item, which is the BC Standing Select Committee on Health. Unfortunately, the Regional Health Board deals only with purchase of assets and capital investments. And so this is an opportunity for us to get involved. The deadline, though, is December 31st on it for submissions, but I would believe that regardless of whether I'm in the chair or not, that this council would like to indicate that they will make a submission on this matter. I know that there's been an appetite to give feedback in terms of where healthcare is going, but no mechanism to do it. So Linda Larson is chairing this, and I think, again, it's an opportunity to focus our attention on some of the things that we can see that might improve healthcare here. So, at this point in time, I think we just received this for information. I'm not sure whether there will be a requirement for us to respond before the new council is here or not on it. Yeah, December 31st is the finding, the submission. So I would think there'll be time for the incoming council to deal with this matter. So we'll receive for information. Councillor Smith, Councillor Verschagen. Any comments? Healthcare, we may all need it soon, you know that. All those in favor? Carried. Next item is the prevention of prevention of zebra and quagga mussels. Gary, tell us why these are dangerous.
They're just bad.
Plug out water systems. And,
They just don't belong here. They're invasive species, and they overtake local ecosystems. So we
Yeah.
definitely don't want them here.
Councillor Crowe?
Yes, I was wondering if we could send a letter of support from the city of Grand Forks to the Christine Lake Stewardship Society in their efforts to try and stop these. They just create
I
total
think that
havoc.
would be very appropriate to add to the receipt for
second that.
information and send a letter of support from this council.
I like their ideas.
So you're making that motion and seconded by Councillor Smith. Further discussion on this? Looks like Christina Lake's leading the charge on this, but we should definitely support them.
And Mr. Mayor, in the Okanagan as well, the Okanagan Basin Water Board has been very proactive in this process too. So the different basins have been looking at this. We reach out maybe to Columbia Basin because I know that there's been some action in there, but we don't belong to a basin. So we've been the ones that have been left out. So we're kind of that orphaned community that doesn't belong in a basin. So that's why we haven't been communicating at this one. And that is a long-standing issue that I'm sure that some other councils would like to share with others.
Okay, did we vote on that? No, we didn't.
No.
All those in favor? Next item is the MCON Winter Stakeholders Meeting, which I won't be attending, but there are 2 members of staff that will be attending, and I think it's open to any councillor that wishes to attend. receive for information. Councillor Krog, Councillor Kendall, all those in favor? Next item is Corley Oaks. Very interesting letter for those of us that have read it. There was some real teasers in there. I guess we fit into a new category of under 100,000 small town development fund or tiny town. I'm not sure whether this is flattery or not, but I think Corley has still been very friendly towards us and very warm.
Yeah.
Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor, just what we're planning on doing is bringing this forward after the election to talk to council about what the priority is going to be based on the fact that Interior Health has told us that we need to have a roof on our reservoir at the top of up on Valley Heights. We also need $1 million in headworks done at our on our sewage treatment plant because we need to reduce our water flows going into the river. So that's part of our, the objectives behind the water metering is to reduce those flows so we don't have to make that a little over $1 million increase into our discharge process for our sewage effluent. So one of the things we want to do is bring it forward to council after the election to make the decision on the priority and then proceed with the grant application. So that's going to be the process. So we're on top of this right now.
All right, so receive for information. Councillor Kendall, Councillor Smith, all those in favor. And the next business are the bylaws. First item is final reading of the repeal bylaw, sewer regulations and rates. A motion for final reading, Councillor Doherty, Councillor Wershagen. Any comments? All those in favor? That was the repeal, and now to replace that with the new sewer regulations, final reading. No. Councillor Wires, Councillor Smith. All those in favor? Carried. And the final reading of the Sagamore Road closure. This is the little triangle we've had in front of us for some time. Give final reading to this bylaw. Councillor Krog, Councillor Smith. All those in favor? Carried. And I would ask at this point if there is anyone in the public this evening wishing to speak to the Riverside Drive road closure. That would be at this point in time. We would give it third reading tonight. We've given it 2 readings, and so we're asking if there's any input from the public here tonight. Is there any such input this evening? Seeing none,
I'll move that.
move third reading on this
yeah.
matter, so it will come back in a timely period. Councillor Smith seconds it. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And the last item of business is the final plan amendments, which have been in front of you. So this again is final reading, and we removed the $6,000 mural project money in it. And those are the decisions we've made that have basically compromised our financial plan.
I'll move that.
Councillor Smith makes the motion, Councillor Kendall. Any further comments? Final reading, all those in favor? Those carried. And bringing us down to final questions from the media and public this evening. Can I ask if there's anyone from the public in general who would like to comment? Come on, Les, you know more about us than anybody. Hearing none. Oh.
No. Well, I just wanted to point out to people who might be watching at home that the forum on Wednesday, we're going to try and broadcast that live. So if you can't make it down, you can always watch at gftv.ca.
And thank you very much from this council, Les, for all the volunteer work that you put in here and all the coverage of the council. Thank you. Councilor Kendall, you had a comment?
I'd just like to adjourn. You ready?
Oh, yeah. Motion to adjourn. Thank you very much.